indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
But seriously, you might want to tell Rumpke, they did it this week. I'm busy, you know, with you guys really and all that. They picked, I thought we were gonna be late, but they really weren't that late. But they're picking up in the middle of the road on both sides at the same time. And then that kind of backs up traffic, and it's like, who gets to go around the truck, and I just think that's unsafe. You know, how to do that.
Just had that conversation with the UPS driver.
Amazon guys are the same way too.
Are they?
They don't care which side of the road they park on, their truck's going the wrong way with traffic, and they can stop wherever they want. Chaos. Not on my one. I'm up in here.
All right, moving on.
Oh, I do have one really legitimate quick. So on the parade lineup,
Yeah,
have you gotten anything as a resident from the parade committee about? That's where they're lining everything up,
I'm Circle on the Green.
everything.
Yeah, we're okay with that.
Well, I got, but have you
You can
received
speak for-
communication about that?
No,
Okay,
You will,
you will.
because she said, didn't she say that she's gonna start doing it next week? I thought she said she was gonna go door
I
to door.
thought they were putting something out before they went door to door.
I think that makes much more sense traffic flow wise than doing it on Highview and Columbia.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. No,
You know, I mean,
that's what they're thinking.
that's actually a smart move. They get to experience the circle for the morning, you know.
Will you be charging like an entrance fee?
Yeah.
or
That's the reason why it's on board with it, he said there'll be an interest in it.
Pay for their slate.
It's like the garage sale, we'll wait.
We're short on officers for the 4th because we got 6 of them working special. They're called the green.
Right. All right, moving on, 70.
Losing control. Okay, we have a BZA hearing coming up on June 14th for 5622 Riverside Drive. It's a conditional use permit request for private storm sewer drainage improvements. We've reached out to all the county agencies to get their feedback, and we're set to go on that. The following night, there's a zoning commission hearing for zoning text amendment 158 RZ 22 versus the HPBOD on Henderson Road. So that will again be heard the following day on Wednesday. And I think, let's see, that's it for the zoning piece.
It has the chair, vice chair been briefed on?
They were, when I sent the documents, I sent a note letting them to retouch Joe Smiley in case they have any questions prior to, and he should be here that evening.
Super. Thank you.
Development director. Joe couldn't be on. Actually.
Now, this
Did he-
is that you were gonna be.
Yeah, so Joe has been working today, and he couldn't be on tonight or on tonight, but see, what did we, so we sent the appeal to City of Dublin. Mount Carmel has the it's in their hands, they're reviewing it, and we're waiting to hear back. So, sure. Yeah. And then TIF status.
I have.
Yeah.
something on that, if that's
Okay.
Okay, yeah, the township's attorney has provided comments back to the Upcon team. They were anticipating doing that on Friday. I haven't heard that there were any delays. He didn't note any major issues, more just tracking type things they'd like to clean up a little bit. So they should be getting back to us, I think, sometime this week. See what Upcon came back with. They seem pretty confident whatever comes back, we'll be able to go in front of the board of trustees. Inspect them.
So I have a quick question, not about that, but, well, two things. One, did he indicate that there was like a time frame other than next week, they'll get back? And will we have something for the board for their next meeting? or-
I think the intent was to have something for the next meeting, where next meeting you'll be setting the board of trustee hearing date. And then the following, whatever that date is, which would presumably be their next meeting, will be having a hearing, which would be in July, first week of July.
I'm sorry, I got two more questions. I thought so. Is there, did he indicate at all about, you had mentioned the other day about an additional approval process that you may have heard about?
Yes, I did ask him, once, assuming this goes, it's approved by the board of trustees. There will be a filing with the Franklin County Department of Development, and then that information also will be going to the Ohio Department of Taxation. Just, for the second seems to be more for reporting purposes.
Reporting purposes. They don't have like a,
It's not
Yes,
truly an
no.
approval process.
yeah.
No, that's my understanding.
Okay. And so when this goes through, there is some management to this thing, obviously, who's doing
Yes, there's a
that.
certain amount of setup. So, which we, I can't remember, I believe, I guess it was just you and I on the Jefferson Township several months ago. And then Paul Wise from Genoa had also said there's a certain amount of preliminary work to be done in order to get it set up.
So that
and you're
falls-
right. There's-
Falls on the administrator traditionally, I mean, in those two situations or what? I mean, who does the management of it, I guess?
The only two folks I've spoken with is Genoa and Jefferson, and it was the administrator, but I don't know if that's set in stone.
I know you're looking for something else to do, right?
Yeah. Oh, I don't mind doing it at all. I know that there's a lot of work that goes into it initially, and then once it's set up, according to both entities, it's just a matter of doing updates and reports. So there is going to be some time involved initially, and I'm sure Mary would be happy to help me.
It's a learning
So
experience.
it's truly up to what the board wants.
Yeah, and I'd like to be a part of, obviously, all of that to make sure I understand as well.
The process.
So
Yeah,
if it's okay, I mean, let's simmer in again. If you would go ahead and manage that, you understand, if you could reach out to Dion over at Jefferson
Sure.
and Paul over to know, get a tutorial on all the ins and outs of management of the DEF. I know that originally, if I recall, they said it wasn't a lot once you got it started and in
Right.
place. But their perception of what is not a lot may be different than our perception, so.
well, and if we can coordinate schedules to maybe go through those meetings together, so I'd like to learn and.
Yeah, that's
Totally new to me.
Let me, I know I sent Paul an email about something else, and I hadn't heard back, so I think he's on vacation, but as soon as I get a hold of one or the other, we'll go ahead and get that started.
Thank you.
Road department.
Under old business, just an update on the concrete and crack sealing. Decker is hoping to start either tomorrow or Wednesday, doing the spot repairs around Clubview and Newcomer and back off Breckenridge. Crack sealing, they were hoping to start tomorrow, but looking at the forecast, I doubt they will be there. It'll be later this week, most likely. The water line project started on Fairway at Dollar this morning. Supposed to start 2 weeks ago. They called off on water line projects, the water leaks. So they finally got started on that. That's all for the updates. And then the daughters, the Ann Simpson Davis Charter of the Daughters of the American Revolution reached out. They would like to do a flag tribute on the 4th of July. Replacing Revolutionary War Patriot flags along with American flags in the cemetery visible to Riverside to pay tribute to Ann and John Davis.
They're a good group.
What's that?
They're a very good group.
They are.
They are. I've talked to Chief, they were a little worried about vandalism of the flags with no one being around the cemetery. I've talked to Chief about having an officer pass by just to make sure everything's good.
Now we're passing on to our folks to drive through there a little more.
So they're gonna put them in that day
Boom,
and
and,
take them out that day.
yeah, 10 a.m. they'll go up and then come down at 5 p.m.
Okay.
The old signer says this video is subject to video surveillance.
There you go.
I win some.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Fire and EMS?
I have Jeff Arlington fire report for last month. There were 10 calls for service in Perry Township, and there was one at Epcot. So we had total 10 runs, 10 calls for service carried last month.
Chief, is there a way to, when did we start the new contract with UA? Was it last year?
Yeah, it was last year. There was some confusion on the exact start date because of the plat, but yeah, it's been good.
I'm just wondering, because they made such a big deal of it. And I think, but I do believe it's important. Data, decisions should be driven by data. And so I was wondering if we are able to get from them a year or from the date in which the amendment went into effect till the current date, how many service runs they made
I've
that
taken
time.
there. I know one of the things that I can do is I can do somewhat of a year-end report for the fire service.
Okay.
For fire calls, if that makes sense, end of the year. I'm assuming they will have that information on their CAD, but I know they'll have current year, but I'll ask.
Okay.
I'll give Beth, we can get a date when that took effect, and then I'll call over to Beth and see if we can get that.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I don't
Well,
have.
and that's Deer Cliff, right? Is that the street? So
Yeah,
that was
Deer Cliff.
canceled en route, so it wasn't
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, so they actually never responded, but they considered it call service because
Sure.
they left the
They
building.
left the building.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And if they can't get one, we could probably, as long as we have all the reports, I can have Luke do a
oh,
tabulation.
yeah, I didn't think about that, yeah,
If they can't do it.
yeah, because you know what, all that would be in like the Dropbox stuff, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Police,
Nothing.
Madam Administrator.
Okay, under old business, the 161 Lenworth improvements, I have a call with the county and other partners on the 8th regarding the driveway access. That would be on the south side of the 161 from Capital Coffee area. Let's see, my second request is approval for an ARPA expenditure tap-in fee reimbursement for 1692 West Case and 1701 West Case Road. That's for $1,749 each, not to exceed $3,498.
I so move.
Second vote,
Yes.
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 Last meeting, the board approved a 1-year extension on the Rumpke contract at 7%. Chet was able to talk with Rumpke and take that down to 6% for 2 years, which would take us to the very end of the contract. The next time around, the board would be going out to bid. So I would request a motion first to rescind the original resolution 16422 concerning Rumpke of Ohio addendum.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Vote,
yes.
yes.
Chad, do you have to abstain on that one?
Yeah, I have to abstain. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. And then my second motion request would be to approve the revised addendum to the Rumpke May 16, 2019 contract as submitted between Perry Township Board of Trustees and Rumpke of Ohio, and to authorize the township administrator to execute the document retroactive to May 24th, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Vote,
yes.
yes.
I abstain.
Next on my new business is the Otama insurance renewal for 22-23. I will tell you that there was an increase in the premium last, and what I'm gonna do is, I guess, give you the net. We had the premium and then we get money back, or the township gets money back. So for this year, the net cost would be $52,437. Just as reference, last year it was $42,960. The reason, however, for that, and we have a bit of a list, is initially they weren't charging for cybersecurity insurance, which they are now doing, obviously because of the increase in those kind of issues. We've added vehicles, employees. Property values are going up. They've estimated 4% this year. They're thinking it may be as high as 10% next year for all property. We are getting the 3,000 paid back. So that will come in with usually 4 to 6 weeks after, I think it's a trend.
Do you know what the increase was because of cyber? Just interested.
In total, because the cyber specifically, I don't know. I will know the
Okay.
total was a 22% increase.
Yeah, because we're just seeing it, and we're seeing cyber in every project that we're, that we're being required to submit insurance, and cyber is, and the amounts are enormous.
Right, and I'm afraid I don't have that dollar amount on
You
hand,
just got
but
tagged, their law firms are a big part of that too, nobody wants to get,
yeah,
behind the eight ball on that, and you just have to have that kind of coverage now.
Yeah,
I think initially when it first came available, it was a lot of amateur kind of hackers. Now things are getting a
Yeah.
lot more serious, where businesses and entities are getting shut down
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So that said, I would like to have an approval, motion to renew the Utama policy at a cost of $55,467. And as I said, we'll get 3,030 back at later date.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Vote.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I meant to mention this early on, Deputy Franklin County Sheriff Deputy Darren Karen was not able to be here at this meeting. He will not be here next meeting because of other amendments, but he'll be back here in July for everybody to ask any questions. I wanted, kind of going backwards a little bit, I want to let everyone know that the new zoning program was launched today, and you had 2 permits.
I know, we had one come through the portal.
Oh, one, I thought there were 2 that had come through, okay.
Yeah.
We had one come through the portal, everything went swimmingly. It was a very simple permit, however. But even though we don't have their payment,
Vendor.
thank you. It went through, everything went through nicely, so we're hoping for good things moving forward.
It's a good one to start with.
It was a great one to start with.
$5.
Right, so Luke has been tasked with reaching out to the contractors we see, turning in permits here first to let them know, to start pushing them toward the portal. Residents will go up on our website and see a link to go there, but we'll start really pushing it out more and more and more. We just didn't want to maybe get inundated all at one time. Our goal would be to have everyone just using the portal at some point. That's going to be a bit of a process because we even have contractors who are used to that piece of paper. But we'll work through it. I've got to say, I was thinking yesterday, I was listening to Mary work with someone and linked to this zoning team version is been great. Is people don't, if John's not here, he's off site inspecting, or if he's been on vacation this week. Any one of us can pick up if it's something complicated. I reached out to Joe just for some guidance on that. So I think the residents are very happy, and we're just kind of moving along. It's been a really good thing, but I want to specifically thank Luke and Mary because they were the ones digging in, getting new solutions, all the data and all the information, and working with them every single week to get this live. And
Awesome.
we're all very excited about it.
Cool.
So what's the project manager with the other side of things, the company side of things? Things are going well.
The new project manager, the one that I was dealing with was not a very good thing. But Mary and Luke ended up with a different project manager, and they've just been spectacular. It's been
Yeah.
wonderful. And then,
Very
of
good.
course, we have the county as a resource.
Right.
Because that's the program they use. We were talking yesterday that it's gonna be nice, because especially the contractors who have to go to the county for their permitting are already used to the system. So it's, I think that feeling will be working more with the residents, getting them accustomed to it. But it's been, since that got changed up, it's just been very on target, very task oriented. Everybody's been pitching in and doing what needs to be done to make it work.
So the public notice part of this, that's gonna take care of zoning and all that good stuff. So if somebody wanted to see you know, anything that we publicly announce, that's where that's gonna happen.
We'll be able, you know, when it comes to variances and that sort of thing, all that information will be in there.
Okay, all right,
Yes.
cool. Awesome.
So that's terrific. I did want to, zipping back to EPCON, I wanted to tell the three of you, the HOA president and Keith, and they just spoke so highly of all of you folks for such a great job and really appreciated you doing the walkthrough with her. They felt so much better about the roadways getting passed over and this, that, and the other, and just love the law enforcement side of things. The officers are always stopping and talking to folks, and of course, Miss Mary is here to answer all their questions, and Luke as well. So I did want to pass that one. I want to thank you for everything, folks.
And your roadway striping is elegant.
Yeah, they call it
It looks
roadway
good.
striping elegant.
Yeah.
Wait, did
Yeah.
you get some sort of scroll design or something?
Right.
I mean,
Are there choices?
Because if you did that elegant,
Weird.
It's the gold field.
So that's it for me. Mine always seems to be the longest, so I apologize, but I'm done.
Fiscal officer.
The week before last, Beth, Mary and I met with Eddie Bauman from Huntington Bank and his team. And, you know, as you likely know, we have our finances between Park and Huntington. And we have really been impressed by the quality of service that we receive from Huntington. And of course, you know, Beth and Mary dealing with them on a daily basis, you know, we need to make sure that they are happy with the service that they are receiving. So we'd like to go ahead and shift to Huntington being our primary and move more of our services, and as they become eligible, move some of our CDRs and things over to Huntington. But I wanted to talk to the board first and make sure you were comfortable with that.
We're not required to split banks.
No, I mean, you have to keep below certain thresholds, but we're fine in terms of how we do that. But we would still, obviously, with a nod to the requirements that we have to maintain.
But I think it's probably easier if everyone's doing
It would be. And honestly, you know, we had a challenge a few weeks back that Huntington was incredibly responsive in working with us on, and we didn't see that same level of responsiveness from Park. So, you know, it's not that things are going to happen, it's what you do when they do. And we felt much more comfortable with Huntington. So unless there are any objections, I don't need a motion necessarily, just unless there's any objections, we'd like to move forward with that. Okay. Other than that, I request approval of payroll and disbursements.
Make a motion.
second,
Vote.
Yes.
Yes. Anything else for the good of the cause? Hearing none, I move to